Cool. All right. And everything is working on my side too, I guess. Hello, I'll pretend I understood all of that. From me? Oh, you mean the people? Can they hear me? Did they say anything?
Now it should be fine. Tekrar başlıyorum. Bu birkaç dakikalık kayıptan dolayı üzgünüm. I'm starting all over again because probably they didn't hear my voice.
Go ahead.
Arkadaşlar chat'e yazarsanız çalışıyor mu, her şey okey mi diye. Ben sesin olmadığını fark etmemişim. Yayında Toplar'ın yeni bölümünden herkese merhaba. Yeni canlı bölümümüzden. Bugün Rodrigo Costa bizlerle. Blockbuster filmlerin mutfağında animatörlük yapan veteran animatör, eskilerden bir arkadaşımız. Bir süredir Fortiş'te ARCANE'de çalışıyor. O yüzden kendisiyle uzun süredir bir röportaj yapma, programda bir araya gelme üzerine konuşuyorduk. Bugüne kısmetmiş. Sorularımızla kendinden ARCANE'le ilgili bir takım insight, mutfak bilgileri almaya çalışacağız. O yüzden yalnız tabii kendisi Brezilya, Portekiz asıllı biri olduğu için ve Avrupa'da çalıştığı için İngilizce iletişim kuruyor. Dolayısıyla biz de yayını, canlı yayını İngilizce sürdüreceğiz. Ben daha sonra altına altyazı koyarım ama canlı izleyenler İngilizce takip etmek durumunda kalacaklar. O zaman başlayalım. Hello Rodrigo again. Hello again.
Hello again. Now we can do this now.
How are you, man? Yeah, like we have never started.
Yeah. It's good to chat for a bit about animation. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for joining my show, man. It's really appreciated. It's really important for us. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing.
I'm always happy to do these things.
Yeah, let's get started little by little if you want.
Sure.
Yeah, why don't you introduce yourself to my audience a little bit?
So I'm Rodrigo.
Yeah.
I was born in Portugal from Brazilian family, and I started doing animation actually in 2D, like because I went to a fine art school and I tried some things out there.
Oh yeah.
I was
gonna ask,
fell in love with the effect of 2D animation.
What piqued your interest to do visual art animation? I mean, but you said you were always drawing?
I like to draw as a child, but it's not like I was a great draftsman because I didn't draw that much growing up. But I enjoyed doing it. But it's true that when I was in high school, I didn't really know what to do. I
Uh,
was in. I went to
like
computer
all of
science for
us.
a while. Yeah, I went to computer science for a while, and I found out that that's not for me. And on a change of mind, I went to fine art school, and that's where I tried animation for the first time. And it's funny because I went to fine art without really ever having done a lot
Was
of
it like a college, university level school or
in Portugal,
okay?
in Lisbon. Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. And they do have like that animation little course that you can try. Like it's a class that you have once a week, uh, and that's where I tried animation for the first time, and I fell in love with it.
But it was 2D animation, you mean?
It was 2D because it's fine art and they love the concept things, and it's not
Yeah.
super technological at all.
Yeah.
But it gave me actually a lot of a good basis of just learning about the general thing and spacing, I guess, and timing and how many drawings. If you take out some drawings from the thing, it speeds up the thing. And
So it wasn't.
I
it
tried
was.
some stop motion too.
It wasn't a
but
fully
no.
100% animation department. It was just
No,
couple of
no.
courses
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
one.
So in my whole university curriculum, which you have, how do you call disciplines or
Mm-hmm.
things that you're learning, I had one animation course per semester, one animation class per semester, which it was the biggest one because I did choose the animation sort of path in my university, but still it was just once a week, and I had other classes too that wasn't really focused on animation at all.
And then you give yourself to that completely after the graduation, probably, huh?
Yeah, it was interesting because while I was already doing university, even though it was a limited learning that I was having, I knew, like, I think as soon as I did my first animation, I knew, like, oh, this is amazing. And I started intensively studying animation on my own.
Oh, okay.
Reading all the classic books. Even
You're
on
more like a
other,
self-taught animator.
not really. I was so passionate about it that I got super obsessed with animation in terms of everything, right? So not only I was having that class that I had some exercises to do, but I was constantly reading animation, constantly doing, and I did self-taught the beginning of 3D animation with tutorials and stuff and free rigs and stuff. It was funny because my first animation that I did without a tutorial, I didn't even know what IK and FK were. And I animated a character sort of like holding its own legs, like holding something with FK arms. So I had to, like, frame by frame try to put
no.
But I found out pretty quickly as soon as I started animating that I really enjoyed that. But I knew, for example, that I wasn't a good draftsman enough to do 2D animation for a living. And I also knew, because I was reading so much about it, that 2D animation is not like there's a lot of jobs. So I knew from the beginning.
When was it around?
Well, I did, let me see, I think the first animation that I did was in 2010.
All right.
So
All right.
12 years ago.
It wasn't bad, because in the early 2000s, it was like 2D animation is dying. Now we have 3D, long-lived 3D animation kind of vibes going on around the world. But the dates, the years you mentioned was like it was kind of still coming back, the 2D.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's quite a bit of 2D animation to be done. But it was both reasons for me. It was both that there's definitely more jobs in 3D, and I also can draw very well.
It's been always like this.
And for me, I saw, like, oh, what big studios I can work on as an animator, and obviously I dreamt of DreamWorks, Disney, Pixar, etc., and they're all doing 3D animation.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so not only it's easier for me in a way because I can't do the 2D drawing, but also that's the kind of movie that I want to be working on at the time. That was my dream. And so I really focused on 3D. I finished my course with 2D animation, and I learned some sort of digital. I did some stuff on After Effects, and I did some stop motion, but mostly drawing. And then I knew that I had to do like a mini course or whatever it is to do 3D animation. And I chose an online one because it was cheaper, even though it's not super cheap, but it's still cheaper than going.
Yeah, which one was it?
I did Animation Mentor.
Mentor, okay, your mentor graduated.
Yeah, when did 2012, I guess, 2013, I did. And I was lucky enough to be able to do that. While in Portugal, at home, I didn't have to be working at the time, so I could really focus every day, all my days to animation.
Oh, okay.
And having a basis of 2D was really good.
Yeah.
But obviously, having that year and a half of really focusing on 3D animation.
Yeah, it must be boosting your skills and perception.
Yeah. And obviously, I was still starting out as a student, but I created a somewhat solid student reel that I got my first job at MacGuff as a crowd animator, and I was super happy. I was really lucky, I feel.
What were MacGuff doing at the time?
When I got there, let me see. I worked on Pets 1, Secret Life of Pets.
Okay.
But
that was a good one.
They were working on another movie at the time, but I don't remember what it was. I think I got the end maybe of Minions.
It's a good start, man. Working on
No, it was. I was super lucky. I was lucky to get, because I was.
Oh, your voice gone. Yeah. Now it's back.
I wanted to get into feature animation. I knew that I wanted to work in movies. One thing is, I didn't draw my whole life, but my whole life I watched movies, and I was always in love with movies. So working on a movie for me was my big dream. And of course, I guess as any animator that wants to work on a film, and they're starting out and they don't know, like, oh, maybe I need to start in a series, maybe I need to start on commercials, it's the steps that you need to sort of get your foot in the industry.
Yeah.
And I remember being really scared of.
Have you tried other ones? I mean, commercials or other? No, you just
not really. I did some commercials while I was studying animation mentor.
Okay.
But I remember as I was saying.
Then I can say
really scared of getting stuck.
You are lucky, man.
I'm gonna get stuck.
You are very lucky that you didn't get into that hellhole called commercial.
I worked very hard, but I also was very lucky for sure.
Yeah. After that, your career full of big time studios, frame stores, ILM, etc.
Yeah, I guess as soon as you get your foot in the door,
I
think it becomes easier for you to move from one studio to another.
Yeah.
And that's always something that I enjoyed doing, because I got to know different people, I got to know different pipelines. And so after Pets, I was in Paris doing Pets. And I knew that it was very hard for me to move from crowd, because I was in crowd to main, that I chose to
being in crowd, like making background characters or something.
Yeah. So there's a lot of walk cycles, a lot of, you're animating, it's high quality animation, but it's also like, it's calling too much attention because we're supposed to be looking at the main characters. And then you see your shots rendered and your animation is like in the background super blurred, and people can't see it.
Totally in the shadow.
You spent a long time on it, but that's the life of a crowd animator.
And did you zoom in for your reel? Did you zoom in your characters to show them? No, it was full of like animations, acting studies, right?
No, actually, no. I only used. Well, to be honest, I didn't use my crowd reel for any job.
Okay.
Because I got my job at Frame Store before the movie came out, before Secret Life of Pets came out. So it wasn't on my reel at all. And I stayed in Frame Store for 2.5 years. So when I left Frame Store, I already had a somewhat VFX reel. So I never really had to use my crowds reel. No. I did create a reel at the time, I remember, and I used my main crowd shots, but I never had to find a job with it.
And then let's get to our subject. How did you end up in Fortiche then, after all this,
so
big studio stuff?
Yeah, how do you get into Fortiche? Is basically you keep working, you keep building a reel.
Yeah, that's for sure.
One thing that is very, very valuable and important is networking. And by networking, not only going to events, of course, like going to festivals, going to stuff, which you always get to know cool people, but networking even inside your job. Inside your studio. Inside your studio. The people who hired me at Fortiche, I met them in Frame Store, for example. So it was people. They weren't even like super big friends at the time. Maybe one was, but the big supervisor Bart, he was at Framestore while I was there, but I didn't really know him very well. But I got to know another guy, which was Marshall. He was more my friend.
For ones who doesn't know who Bart is, he's the animation director of Arcane, right?
Yes, he was the animation director. Yeah.
And was he working at Framestore? I didn't know that.
He was at Framestore, yes. And I think we crossed paths in London or in Framestore. I remembered him just by face, when I had the interview with him.
Not even by work. You didn't know each other's work.
I mean, I guess he saw my reel, but it was actually more Marshall who I did work with and I did know a bit better, who told Bart like, oh, I know these people and that's how another friend of mine, a bunch of people get hired like that, right? Oh, I worked in London, so I know a bunch of people.
And then you heard that they're looking for.
How do I get into Voltish?
Yeah, they were they looking for animators to hire at the time, and you were looking for a new job. Did you come together, or what happened?
Yeah, so it was more. I started hearing about Voltish in London because they were doing the Legends video and the KDA video, and some people that I knew them started saying like, oh man, there's this amazing studio doing amazing things. Check it out. And I saw the videos and they looked incredible. And then I actually spoke with Marshall. And even before I actually started, I spoke with Marshall. I was telling you about this before, no? That I was hired and I was supposed to go to Paris to work on the very beginning of season 1, but I couldn't leave London at the time.
Oh, okay.
So I actually, I got to know them. I knew that they were doing this project and they knew that I was interested, but unfortunately the timing didn't go very well.
Yeah, the timings.
But I already had the contact with them. They already knew my work.
So you got hired, but you couldn't go.
Well, I didn't get hired, but I was called to start, but I didn't go. But then a year later, or a little over a year, I contacted them again, and they were opening the studio in Las Palmas in Gran Canaria, in the Canary Islands.
Canary Islands.
Yes, and I said yes because I wanted to try new things. I wanted to leave London. I was about to finish the project that I was working on, DNEG.
Yeah, when was that around?
Well, it was 2000. When was it? 2020. Yeah.
2020, the hottest time of the COVID pandemic, when everyone locked down in their home.
Yeah, I was in lockdown already still in London, and then I decided to leave London. I went to Portugal. I went to my parents for a couple months.
Yeah,
and when my contract was finishing in DNEG, I already had contacted Voltish, and I decided to go.
Yeah,
I think I had a month break and then I went to Spain.
Yeah, you agreed to work on Arcane directly, right? Not other projects.
Yeah.
It was gonna be Arcane from the beginning. Yeah, when did you join the team? I mean, in what phase you joined the team? Where were they at?
It was really at the end of season 2. They already had
season 2.
Season
1. Okay.
Yeah, of course. I joined. I think they already had 5 episodes completely finished.
Mm-hmm.
And in animation, I think episode 6 and 7 almost maybe were practically finished in animation too. So I joined really to work on episode 8 and 9. So the last 2.
Last 2 episodes.
Yeah. So
you just got into the door at the last minute.
Yeah, but I joined Voltish. I joined Voltish knowing that I was going to work at the end of season 1, knowing at the time already that there was going to be a season 2. So I didn't come to Las Palmas just for a couple months. I knew that, there's going to be the ending and then season 2. So I knew that I was going to stay here for a while. And here I am. It's been a year and a half and enjoying it very much.
Still. Yeah. What was the experience? How was the experience from the beginning? I mean, when you first.
It's amazing. It's amazing because you know, I think from the beginning, I entered the studio and I started watching episodes and immediately blew my mind. Like, this is crazy. When people watch this, they're gonna lose their shit.
Yeah, did you get that vibe from the beginning as soon as you watched their work?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Did you know that it's gonna be a big hit, or
For sure.
really?
I mean, and it wasn't even just because I already knew that League of Legends is huge and the fans and but I knew, but the quality, like I knew that in the industry,
Yeah.
it was gonna blow as well. It's gonna blow up, like, and it's gonna be amazing because not only the fans are gonna like it because the storytelling is good and you know, you really empathize with the characters and it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
But I knew that in the industry, people would freak out because for me, it was one of the best things in animation that I've ever seen.
Yeah, because some other people, like some lead animators, the animation director Bart, in their interviews, they're saying that they couldn't be sure if it's gonna be a hit or what. You know, sometimes when you are in something, you know, the very middle, very inside of it, you can't see the quality or the magic you've done. But as an outsider eye, you picked it immediately, right?
I think there's two things to that, right? I think obviously it's true that they don't know if it's going to be a hit, as in if people are going to like the story, but they know they're doing beautiful work, right? I think no matter how humble you are, you look at the final frame, you look at the final shots, you look at a whole episode.
Yeah, you must be like, oh my god, what we have
You know,
done.
it looks incredible.
Yeah,
you know, it's unique, but Bart has been at Fortiche for a long time. He sort of developed that style with them. You know, he sort of created what Fortiche looks like in a way with the guys and a bunch of with the core team. But for me it was easier obviously because when I got in there, I already watched a few episodes finished and I already told them like, this is crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that, our specialty, which is animation, more, but I'd like to talk about a little bit of style and how did they do it? I mean, how they achieve that kick-ass style, you know?
Yeah, you're playing the trailer, right?
Playing the trailer, yeah.
I think, I mean, if you think about it, it's not new, that idea of painted textures, right? It's like to feel that the characters are sort of almost painted.
Yeah,
it's a 2D thing. That's not new. Like I remember seeing or short films with that sort of core style when I was studying animation in 2011 or whatever. I already knew that kind of thing existed. But Fortiche, I think they have really, really good taste in terms of visuals. Like the color choices, the acting choices, the matte paintings are incredibly beautiful.
Incredible, yeah.
The character design is great, you know. So I think they really developed like this mix of traditional but digital with amazing comp, you know, with a solid adult vibe, which is also interesting because, you know, it's not every day that you see a really high quality adult directed series or
no, you don't see it at all, actually, to be honest.
It's very rare.
It's very rare. It's everything's animated, made for children these days, you know. For a long time it's been like this. And
so it's not only it's all of that, like it's the cinematography, it's the shot choices, you know, it's everything. And they developed everything little by little. You can go back and see the other things they did in 3D at Fortiche and how they were developing the style, you know, little by little.
But I'm sure the 6 years of production might help too, right? They had probably have a good budget and time frame for coming up something quite, you know, impressive.
Yeah, the 6 years is a bit misguided because it's not like they did a whole season for 6 years.
Yeah, right. It's been talking like this in the industry. One of the producers the other day I read from an article said we can't compare Arcane, or we can't expect Arcane quality to the on the other productions, because none of the other productions are as lucky as Arcane get 6 years for production. He said, you know, but it's not the truth, I guess.
Yeah, it's not exactly like that because they did. I mean, they started working on Arcane a long time ago, of course.
Yeah.
I don't even know when they started even thinking about writing the story. Like Christian and Alex E. I don't even know.
Yeah, rumor says nobody knows when they started, man. It's been like.
Yeah, but at Fortiche, they did start creating the looks and the visuals, and they started developing the project, and then creating the pilot. So the pilot was made by a very small team in a way, because Fortiche was a very small studio before Arcane, or actually before the main production of Arcane.
They did quite impressive other stuff too, actually, like music videos and like you mentioned.
Yeah, I'm curious. I would be curious to go to KDA, for example, and see, because they don't have credits at the end, but I'm sure we can find credits somewhere. I would be curious to know how many animators, for example, there are.
Okay.
I don't think there would be more than, I'm gonna spitball 20.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many there are, but I don't think there will be more than 20, and it's, I don't know, a 5-minute thing. If and 20 for me sounds too much, right? And Arcane episode 1 was sort of like that. They created, I'm not saying that episode 1 was only with 20 animators, but the very first version of the pilot they created was with the core smaller team, and it took obviously longer to do.
And then when they found when they found the style, they carry on with the other episodes. You said when they found the real style.
Yeah, I guess they were developing the visuals, they were developing the acting choices, and they were developing everything. And obviously talking with Riot a lot and with Christian. And when they finally sort of finished episode 1, then they saw like, okay, this can be really good. We developed like this thing, we're loving this. We can even improve maybe something still. But after a period of time, then they finally started production on the rest of the episodes. And then the whole team came, and more people came, and the animation crew grew from, I don't know, 20 to 100, right? I'm not, the numbers are not exact, but it grew exponentially to the point that then they created the rest.
Yeah, when at last when you join, they're coming in the full credits, full team, I guess, right? It was full of animators.
Yes. How does it work, the credits? Because, for example, I don't show in every episode's credits because I didn't work on every episode, so I don't know. I don't know how much they were very exact with whoever worked on each episode has the credit on the episode. I'm not sure. But yeah, if you count, if you did the work of counting every animator on every episode.
No, I'm not gonna. I assume it's a lot because there are lots of
be a fair
effort.
Of people.
Yeah. Well, what about the animation? Did you were you be able to adapt quickly after you join? Did you have did they have a animation Bible or something? How the production were going?
So in terms of the style, it was, in a way, it was fairly straightforward for me to join, because in a way it's a fairly realistic style, and the acting choices are very they're not super exaggerated like a cartoony movie would be, right? But
it's like between anime and Disney kind of style. There's a it's staying in between something.
But if you think about it, and Disney is fairly realistic too. But in the same way that Arcane, they really care about the appeal. They really care about good posing. And Arcane is very much like that too, but obviously in a different way. But they're very focused on posing. They're very focused on subtlety and acting, and so my strength in a way that came fairly easily was with the acting choices and the subtlety and the realism of the movement. But it's true that one thing that I wasn't as used to focusing so much was in the appeal of the pose and having incredible poses. That for me was my weakness when I started.
You think so?
And it's my weakness in terms of comparatively with how good, like some people here, you were just watching the trailer, right? That there's an incredible shot of Vi flying over and punching the guy.
Oh yeah, let me just play it again. Let me just find it.
It's a very anime style-y thing.
This one.
Yeah, if you frame by frame those couple of shots.
I don't know if I can, but let me just. Oh, this player is hell.
Are you on YouTube or what?
No, it's OBS is its own media player.
Right. But anyway, you can play it
Yeah.
a couple of times and you're gonna see how the posing is so clear. Like when she jumps over the air, like how clear the posing is, and then when she jumps and she punches him, like that posing is so clear as well. Like that one,
here,
right?
Yeah. Like
So
this one.
And that's from Kevin Fu. He's an absurdly good animator, and he's really good in posing, for example, and really good in those fighting scenes. Because
is he this shot's animator?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kevin Fu, and he's very good at posing, right? Obviously, he's very good at everything in a way. Like you see that it's not just about the posing; it's about the whole animation. But it's a good example of how posing and clarity and appeal is an important factor in Arcane.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of production, are they pushing you towards that kind of approach, focusing on the posing, focus on the posing guys, focus on the posing guys?
For sure, in the beginning, I changed my workflow a fair amount.
Really?
Since I started here, because I was in VFX and I was much more focused on. Sure, I created some poses, but I was much more focused on creating the realistic movement.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying is correct even for VFX, because you having good posing even in VFX makes you a really good animator too.
But you need to keep the consistency of this realism in VFX. I guess it's more important for people, because most of the things you do end up like in front of or next to a very realistic thing or a real live action footage, right?
For sure. So you always need posing, but in any animation work, of course. But it's true that in VFX, because I was so focused on the realistic movement, I tried to make a good posing, but I didn't try as hard as I'm trying here, because here they really go into your animation and say, we can make this so much more appealing just by changing things around and moving where the shoulder is and that for me is still very hard. Like I'm trying to improve, and I think I am improving, but it's still very hard to keep the high level that they require at Fortiche, which is great because it looks beautiful in the end, and it shows that the poses are really crafted, right?
Yeah, did you get a lot of revisions, feedbacks in the beginning for that weakness?
I mean, as always, no. I mean, everybody gets notes for everything. It doesn't matter if you're a junior, if you're a senior, if you're a lead. And that's the important thing for people to know, because I think as a junior, even I myself, when I was a junior, I tend to feel like, man, I keep getting notes. It's never good enough. My supervisor is always giving me notes. And it's a matter of accepting that this is your job. This is the nature of things, right? This is how it always going to be. And even if you were, imagine, a better animator than your supervisor still has an eye. That will tell you, no, we need things to be this way. Like that movement is a bit weird. So you're always
and different opinion and different perception, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say also because animation is so subjective. So it's in relation to how realistic or how good your animation is, but also how your choices are and how different they could be, maybe to be a bit more clear. So notes are going to be always a part of no animator is ever going to animate something
and accept it in the first time.
Exactly what I want.
Maybe in his dreams, when you wake up, oh man, it was great. But
maybe it happened once in the world, and that guy got a medal.
But you say there are no Bibles in relating to this.
I didn't talk about the Bibles at all. I mean, I think every production in a way uses a fair amount of
reference and pre-production, right?
So we do.
I was wondering how is
we do create like appealing, sort of like to keep the character in character, which at DNEG was the same, right? So you create like a little. At DNEG we had Studio Lib, for example, and the lead of that character, for example, creates like a library of faces. It's not that you're just going to use those faces, but it's good to oh, if you want the brow and the eyes to be surprised, you have that appeal basis, and then you can import that into your animation, and then you tweak to whatever needs that you need. So every studio that I've ever worked on has that. It's a very common practice because it's how you keep consistency as well.
Yes,
it
that's
makes the job faster, really.
Mhm.
But library, I don't know if library is a bit misguided as well. To like when people hear it, we don't reuse animation in terms of that shot or the other shot, and we just copy paste things.
But you had library. You had a library
for I don't know, for hand poses, for basic lip sync,
for things constantly being repeated, like
but again, it's not like, unfortunately, it's not like you're gonna apply that pose and
it's perfectly working.
Of course not. It's never going to be like that. In fact, it's good also for people to know and to sort of apply to their work that use the poses that you have in a library, or even sometimes don't be afraid of opening your colleagues' shots to reuse whatever animation they have. But then you always have to adjust. You always have to make it work for your camera, for your action, for maybe that pose is supposed to be an in-between two poses, and then you have to adjust for it to be smoother. That's just how it is. It's just how I don't know any studio that doesn't do that.
Yeah, but they have a certain style that's been settled way before you came into the studio, right? They had to somehow teach you that, right?
Sure. I don't think that comes in the library.
No, I didn't mean that.
That comes for you. That comes for you. I mean, we do, as normal also in studios, we do a little training period. You do some little animations. You're learning about the pipeline.
Their key features, what they.
Yeah, no big deal. It's not even for that long. And then obviously while you're animating, you go like, oh, and Arcane has this style. It's supposed to be, sure, maybe your animation looks extremely realistic, but we also have that stylized vibe. We also care about the posing a lot.
Yeah, and leads and supervisors pushing you towards that approach, maybe.
Yeah, that's
constantly.
their job, right? Yeah, for sure. To keep everybody sort of at the same level, which is also impossible. I mean, even if you watch a VFX film or a feature film, you're always going to see some shots that are amazing and some shots that are just less amazing. And that's just how the nature of the industry is. You're never going to.
Yeah, but in Arcane case,
the same quality.
I can say 99% of the shots are like amazing, man. Even the simplest panning, tilting shots are like very good. Even the simplest characters movings or simplest expressions.
No, it's really well
like
crafted, and the
very, very, very crafted, man.
Good job. The supervisor did a really good job at maintaining the quality really high. And obviously, I think you can tell by how passionate everybody was about this project and how I had just started at Fortiche, and I already knew, man, this is the best project I've ever worked on. Like, this is the happiest as an animator that I've ever been.
You already knew that.
Yeah, because it's a perfect combination of style and realistic and cool animation, and on a cool project, on an adult project.
Yeah, I especially love the posing, the relaxation of the pose that you can't see too much in the in the animations, especially in the series, man. It's very natural and anime style. I don't know if have you watched any reference for to feed your anime knowledge after getting into there?
Anime specifically, no, because to be honest, on season 1, I basically did like more subtle acting shots. I worked on 2 sequences. I have a fair amount. Like, I think I ended up with maybe 50 seconds of animation.
Okay.
But it was just in 2 sequences, and it was more of the subtle side. But so I didn't really have to focus on anime too much. I'm sure a lot of people who worked on the fight scenes and the action stuff,
they're like,
they did use more anime vibes.
Yeah, do they want you to take references for your shots? I mean, how is the progress, animation progress going on in the studio? Is there a tradition or technique to approach things?
It depends. I think it depends on every animator. I give animation classes, for example, and I always propose people, no matter the style that you're going to animate,
take a reference.
Yeah, to film reference. Because even if you are not a good actor, even if you are a bit awkward when you're filming things, there's always going to be good information, and you need to learn not only how to do the reference, but you also need to learn how to look at what is important in your reference. It's never going to be about copy pasting your reference. For example, I particularly love spending a long time filming reference, because if I film a really good reference, then I can use a lot of that in my animation. While sometimes I just want like a hand gesture and I do it very quickly, and I can use just that timing and that spacing and just that energy that I'm trying to get. So that are two different purposes. But if I'm doing an acting shot, I really want to spend the time on that acting shot until I have all of the acting figured out, until I like it, until it feels believable, and I really feel the character there. But then that really depends on the people. Some people film the minimum amount of reference because they just want to see some.
There's no rule that you have to shoot. Did you use it? Did you use any reference? Did you film anything?
Oh yeah, I film a lot of reference for sure. I'm a great reference believer.
Reference believers.
And it saves me a lot of time, because again, I spend a lot of time filming reference, and when I mean a lot of time, I mean like
half of your deadline.
Not half of my deadline, that would be crazy. But I can easily spend a whole day filming reference.
All right.
And when you're at your job, that's a lot, really. Of course, it depends on the amount of shots that you have, the amount of time that you have to animate, and the amount of, depending on the complexity of the shot, of course.
Yeah, but it's a preparation, right? It's doing half of the job. It's the preparation, and then the rest is just like a craftsmanship, going there.
I think about the acting beats that I want, and then I go into there, I try different things, and then I see what's working, what's not working, and I try again until I get that really good reference. And then when I start animating, because I have my reference and it's so good, of course, I'm never going to use my proportions. I'm never going to use myself. But, I do the posing, I do the things as well as I can in 3D. But then the movement, I can take a lot of information from the reference. And for me, I animate much faster like that. I can go quite fast. So, yeah.
Yeah. What about facials? The only problem I had with the whole series, I loved it. I completely give myself to it, But the only thing that bothers me is the lip syncs. Not that they are matching. They are, of course, matching the voice acting. But the deformation around the mouth is like bugging me. Did you had that feeling, or is it just me in the whole world?
I think it depends. Again, it depends on, like every production, it depends on because there's main characters and there's other characters that are not main characters, and it depends on how the deformation is in specific characters. I don't know specifically which one you didn't like, but even the same character can have really good lip sync in some shots and not so.
No, I'm not
talking.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not talking about the matching. Of course, they are matching and they are believable, but the deformations are around the mouth in almost all characters. It's not for certain characters. It's like this wing feeling is kind of bugs me. But I guess it's just me. No.
No. I mean, maybe it's not just you. Maybe.
But it didn't feel like this to you.
Again, I think it depends on the animator. I can't talk too much about specifics of the rig.
The rig, yeah. I was gonna get into that, asking something about rigs.
I can't talk too much about specifics, but
okay, let's talk about the rigs a little. Were they like easy to work, or were they simple, or were they extremely detailed?
One thing that I love about these the Fortiche rigs, because the character in a way is already so appealing. I think the proportions that they build, the design of the character is so cool that it almost feels like it's really easy to make them look good, to make a good posing, right? It's true that, sure, they always look good, but then you can always improve on that. And that's the difficulty that I have in terms of posing and in terms of appeal, because sure, you can make that character look really cool, but then your supervisor goes in and say, hey, but we can make that character look so much better. And that is always going to happen too. But there are very appealing characters. There are very appealing rigs. And one cool thing is that the rigs are super fast.
Super fast, right?
Which is amazing to animate. You can animate in 24 frames per second, so you almost don't have to play last.
Okay, that's cool. And you can see all the textures like in there, not the final production, but
you
close, I guess.
Production, of course, but enough for you to animate for sure.
And I was wondering, I heard that the team doesn't have almost non-lighting artist, because every background is like illustrations, right? You're working on illustrated layouts. So
there's a lot of matte. There's a lot of matte painting for sure. I mean, you can tell looking by the image that there's a lot of things that are actually painted. Yeah, and they were using some projection camera mapping, I guess, to make this little camera animation, on the backgrounds as well. So even things on the foreground sometimes can be painted.
Yeah,
as I'm sure you can notice.
And what kind of environment were you working in as an animator? I mean, what kind of scene did you get in your hands?
I'm not entirely sure I can talk about that, so I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay.
I can't talk about too much details into our scenes.
It's because of the confidentiality of the production, right?
Yeah. I can.
Yeah, no worries.
It's proprietary, like the way the Fortiche works, and
But I assume you get your camera and character, and I'm sure you have good storyboard and layouts, right?
Yeah, there's a few storyboards online actually that you can watch, and the storyboards for the series are incredible.
Yeah, I've saw a couple of them.
From the directing and the storyboarding, the quality was already so high that you can tell, like you watch the episode on storyboards. I mean, you can't, but while we did, and you can already tell, like, man, this is really high quality stuff, and you can tell the storytelling is very clear.
And what the last question for the rigs? There are lots of smears and some deformation effects used in the film. Were they coming with the rigs, or were they painted over your shots?
We had a fair amount of freedom. The smears are done by the animators for the most part.
That's cool.
And we had a lot of freedom to do that. Specifically, how we did it, I can't tell you, but we did have a fair amount of freedom to do that.
And this traditional looking style comes with working on twos, right? Like some shots are like twos on twos, some shots are like on ones.
I don't think there's any shots on twos.
I'm sure there are. But you don't.
What you're talking about is if you frame by frame, some things are going to look like they're on twos because of the 2D effects. There's a lot of 2D effects. As in hand-drawn, animated
like
effects, like smokes and fire and stuff. I'm sure you can find good examples there in the trailer.
Yeah,
like those lightnings, even that light and stuff.
Really? This electric lightings?
So that electric thing, that's all 2D animated.
2D animated.
Yeah. It's incredible. The 2D animators on this series are absolutely monsters. When you really want to get a shot that's going to have 2D effects because it's going to look so cool in the end. I think as an animator, it's a really cool thing. As Fortiche, we're all like, oh man, I got a shot that has 2D effects. Even if it's like a really simple,
it's the thing to brag in the studio, huh?
Shot. Even if you have a really simple small shot, when it has 2D effects, you're really happy about it. I remember on
so the animators of Jinx is like super high on the clouds, right? Because Jinx has a lot of this distorted paintings, 2D effects on it.
I know when they do that overlay.
Yeah. When she get this schizophrenic moments,
Yeah, when she kind of like loses her mind a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Even those trails of the...
Yeah, the trails there are 2D effects too. Here, that purple fire is 2D animated too.
Really? Okay, I thought these... Okay, all right. That makes sense.
There's definitely some 3D effects too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's much more not hidden, but it's harder to tell. But the 2D effects in the series it's really, really amazing. In fact, one thing that you can do on that same shot of the punch of Vi punching that guy, at the end, you can't frame by frame, so it's really hard for you to stop on that frame.
Yeah.
But for people who's gonna watch this later, frame by frame that until they have like that high impact shot, and after that punch, the frame goes black. And they painted it by hand.
Oh, this I just missed it almost. Let me just grab it. Come on, I'm gonna catch it.
You can do it.
Come on, this one.
There you go. That's a good one. Yeah. So that is the 2D animators painted on top of our 3D animation, and they do like that. This incredible.
I thought that these were done by the comp guys. Compositing artists take your shots and give some effects. Blah blah.
I mean, of course, there's comp on top of it, but
yeah, but
those things are hand drawn
by 2D animators, huh?
Yeah, and it's super cool.
Yeah, super cool, man. We have a question from our audience. They wondering, do animators show their reference videos to their supervisors?
It depends. If you want, it depends on the shot. It depends on if you're having trouble and you want to, you can. Depends on the supervisor, really depends on your lead. I guess to the leads is a bit more common, but the supervisors, if you really want to like make sure, I think in any studio, well, I can talk more about film because that's what I did, VFX or feature animation. If you're struggling with an acting choice, or even if you're not struggling, you just want to make sure that your choices are correct and they like it, or they can give you feedback even on your reference, you can show. Never be afraid of showing anything, right? Even if it's super whip, even if it's your reference super edited together, or you show 4 references and say, I want to get that hand gesture. Like, feel free to. Dailies and your supervisor and your leads are there to help you make the best job you can.
So some animators did show their references and some didn't, probably.
Or some did in some sequences and not in other sequences.
What about you?
Did you show on some sequences? I didn't on other sequences.
Ah, okay. It depends then. Really, it varies.
Really depends. Sometimes you show already you're blocking, but you want to say like, oh, I want to do this kind of thing, and we show the reference just for me to show what I want to do. It really depends. Yeah,
we kind of covered that, but how was the feedback and revision process? I mean, how many layers, how many peoples you have your shots going through? Like your lead, supervisor, director, and then I assume they're going to riot, blah blah.
Yeah, it's the normal. I think every studio has that. You have your lead and you have your supervisor, and then you go to and you show the client. Director see it too, and you show the client. I mean, it's always the same sort of hierarchy if it's well organized.
Yeah, but in this case, this is a long series. I mean, mini series, and it's done for a game company, and so we don't know the internal, structure of these things.
Christian Linke, which is from Riot, he co-wrote this with Alex E, right? And Christian is the showrunner, right?
Okay.
Do you know the showrunner?
Yeah.
So he's sort of above the directors in a way. Each episode can have a director, but the showrunner is the guy who's overseeing everything, and he's also the writer, obviously. So he's the guy who's going to give you the best kind of information, the best kind of feedback in terms of he's the client and he's the showrunner, right?
Oh, okay.
So he's the final say in terms of approval, in terms of acting choices.
So it's not it wasn't going through crazy amount of people. Now the Riot's head of blah blah departments needs to see this, and now the Riot CEOs.
Of course, it doesn't come out of my hands, and it goes directly to to Christian, right?
Yeah.
Christian has-
There are some layers, but it's not that crazy in the riot. Maybe.
But the layers is like any other, is to help your animation to be as best as it can. And obviously, whatever director or supervisor, they have more information on what the sequence that you're working on needs to be or needs to look like. So you go through your lead who is supporting you, and you have your supervisor who is supporting you, and then when you're ready to show, you show. And
yeah. Did you have rooms for your shots duration? I mean, did you have the freedom to change this kind of thing? Shots duration, camera angles, shots duration. This shot needs to be a bit longer, kind of request.
As an animator?
Yeah. As an animator.
Not really. No.
It's quite strict, right? It's coming with
I mean, if it's necessary, I think it's not just going to be you talking about it. Of course, if you really feel like this is really rushed, you can always mention it. I mean, any animator can mention, I have too much time or too little time to do a shot in terms of to do the action that I want to do. And if your lead says, no, we can do this, we can sell the important thing about the shot in the time that we have, they're not even going to propose to extend. It's not your choice. It's not even the lead's choice. And even if it was the supervisor's choice, I don't know their hierarchy to do that. But it always needs approval from everybody, because every frame costs money, of course.
Yeah. But it sounded like a very very good time frame in your hand, right? Did you have any crunching time, like most studios do?
Not really.
I mean, working till morning, kind of. We need to deliver this to this Friday, guys. Come on.
I mean, as anybody as any other studio, I've never really crunched in my life.
Really? You're coming from VFX. At least you should have won.
Because I think that's a mix of things, right? Of course, don't get me wrong. Like I've worked extra hours before. Like I've even worked some Saturdays in my life, of course. In VFX, that happens quite a bit. But not that many. And the fact is that for me, I don't like, and I don't work for free. So doing crunch and working extra hours and sleeping in the studio to finish something when you're not even getting paid extra hours, I wouldn't do that in the first place. And I didn't do that in VFX either, because if they're not paying, then I don't work. And then obviously you have your quotas, you have your deadlines, you know when the shot needs to be done, and it's all a matter of communicating, right? So if you're struggling with this shot specifically for some reason, it's good to communicate very early to say, I'm struggling with this, I should be already on this stage and I'm not. And obviously you have to be focused at work. It's just normal deadline. If for some reason you're late because you spend half of your day watching YouTube.
Yeah, but it's very common to
you work extra hours because of that, then that's not extra hours, right?
Yeah. It didn't happen in this production, but it's very common. What I mean is, like, we have a saying we have a joke for our industry in Turkey. We say we are living on a wrapped kebabs, that means we are like the animators and all VFX guys are like, we are like creatures who just eats kebabs and sleeps and works,
Yeah.
But it's not the case over there, I guess. You're not like a burrito guys, right?
I think, and I'm not talking generally. I'm always talking about myself.
Yeah. I'm asking you.
I think it is a very personal choice, to work too much. Even if I went to a studio and they asked me to spend the night there to work, I'm not going to do it.
You're not going to do it. You have balls to say, no, man, I'm not going to do it. Okay, and that's
you have your commitment with your job. You are professional. If you are professional and you say, man, I worked 8 hours, you paid me for 8 hours, and you're supposed to create a budget and you create a deadline for a shot, knowing that people work 8 hours a day, then don't ask me to spend the night or to work Sundays and Saturdays for a month. I have done crunch before in VFX, but for example, in London, they don't pay extra hours, right? So after 6, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
even if you get the whatever dinner they give you. But you get an extra toil on weekends.
Yeah.
So it's my personal choice to say, first of all, I'm never going to work Saturdays and Sundays. And second of all, I'm not going to work after 6. If you want me to work extra, I'll come on Saturday to get the extra day.
Okay.
Because for
And
me, at least, that is getting paid somehow. I can use that as holiday. Or if you leave the company, they'll pay you the toil, right?
okay.
It's like an extra holiday.
So the people who's staying overnight or coming like that, you say it's kind of like their choices.
I think people
Yeah.
should be very aware of what they're doing, because that's very dangerous for our industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very dangerous for you. Like, you can be easily exploited by working 3 hours. And it's not a matter of, but because I'm a junior, so I'm slow, so I need to work 12 hours a day.
Yeah, and that's their weapon. They make you feel bad about it. They make you.
But the thing is, they know you're a junior, so they know that they're supposed to give you work that you can do in 8 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm very vocal about it, because I don't think that nobody in whatever circumstance should be working extra hours for free. If you get paid and they ask you and you accept, then it's your choice and you get paid. At least, for me, it's unprofessional almost for you to work extra hours for free, because you're giving work for free. And as soon as anybody gives work for free, the quality and the value of our work goes down. So as soon as there's people out there willing to work for free, there will be people trying to get free work. And as long as there's people doing that work, then everybody, all of us, get paid less. All of us get worse working conditions. So it's a matter of being professional.
I want to clap these words. I want to. You're totally right, man. It's on us, actually. It's our fault. It start from us, We should be the one.
Believe me, if you're working at whatever MPC as a random example,
yeah,
and they say we have to finish by Friday, and you say, but I have been working all my hours, I have been working really hard to get this done, and it's impossible to work by Friday. If nobody works until Friday, MPC will have to go to their client and say,
nobody works.
The work is too much for us to do in this timeline. We have to extend it. We have to ask for more money because the work is too much. Maybe it's because of the client that they gave so many notes and they didn't make up their minds that the work prolonged so much. So it depends on a lot of things, and even if it's not because of the client, even if because of an internal thing, is, your supervisor is being really picky about your animation. Sure, but then your supervisor and the studio inside itself should be aware that what kind of animator you are, what quality of animation you can make, how you can develop, and do the quotas, thinking about that. That's their job.
Yeah.
Right? It's not your job to do more than you're supposed to do in the works that you get paid. Your job is to work the hours that you get paid. That's your job. And their job is to give you the work that you can do in the hours that you get paid.
I'm stunned. Absolutely right. You're absolutely right, man. That's.
I hope a lot of people get this message, because I think it's really important.
Yeah. I do think it's very important. These things not being told enough, in the industry. It's always we are the ones who got the blame,
It's very funny. I really have the impression, this is just my impression, I really have the impression that this is such a passionate driven industry.
Yeah.
That people just love their job so much, in a way. They're so happy to be working on a big budget hype, like whatever Hollywood movie, that it's very easy to exploit people that are so afraid of losing their jobs.
Yeah. Right? That's their thing, that's their weapon.
Yeah, and in a way, it's part of your job, it's part of your growth as a professional, to know how to be professional and to know how, you can love it, but this is your job. And by being your job, you have to protect it. You have to protect yourself for the future, not to exhaust yourself, not to honestly, a lot of people stop enjoying their job because they're working so much. But it's also protecting your future and protecting your colleagues and protecting the money that you get for that job, right? So I really, really think that it's a
Yeah, it's a very
important
important
topic.
Yeah. Thanks for covering it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are slowly coming to the end. But the last question would be maybe, what should someone do to get hired by Fortish? To the ones who's listening, the aspiring animators and other animation artists. What can you suggest?
There's no magic recipe.
Come on, there should be.
Not really. Unfortunately, you have to work very hard.
Yeah.
And
you have to have a kick-ass reel, I guess, right?
I tell that to people a lot, that one of the best things about our industry and our job is that even when you don't have a job, you can be improving your curriculum, which is not your curriculum, but is your portfolio. Everybody who can have a portfolio to find a job never has the excuse of, how am I supposed to get experience if I don't have the job? Sure, the experience is important, but having a portfolio is really important. And no matter how much in the beginning you are, and I know that in the beginning is a real struggle, you have to work a lot. And believe me, when I started, I was animating 13, 14 hours a day out of pure pleasure, but because I wanted it so much, because it is really hard, because it takes a long time. So studying and practicing.
So yeah, be patient and work hard.
Yeah, be patient and work hard. And I truly believe that if you do work hard and you do spend the time, and some people will have more difficulties than others, that's just how it is. But if you do spend the time that you need to get to a high level of animation, I think it's a matter of time until you get hired by a studio. And then once you get hired by a studio, it's your choice. For example, I was at Frame Store, and it's Frame Store, which is, a big studio. But I went home and I animated more because I wanted to do more acting shots. I wanted to do more stylized things, and I wanted to do more cartoony things. I wanted to get hired by a feature film, for example. So what I did was, sure, I have an animation job already in Frame Store doing, high quality movies, but I would go home to practice more. And that's just a matter of how driven you are and how much you want it and how much you're willing to put the time in. So there's no secret recipe, really.
There's no secret recipe. So you don't know what they are looking for. I mean, at least you should have a couple of acting animation in your reel.
Talking more specifically, yes. Fortish specifically now is working. So if you have good acting, if you have good body mechanics, if you have
fighting animation, for example, people are very into that after Arcane.
If it's well done. Fighting animation is incredibly hard to do.
Yeah.
Because contacts, because posing, because of the speed and etc. But why not? If you have the time or if you have the will, why not try? Maybe you struggle, maybe you're gonna fail, but you're gonna learn something from it. But having for sure, they're looking into body mechanics, acting, and that kind of stuff. Mostly human.
Yeah, as far as I know, they are full for stuff. They are not looking for new artists. They a couple of your lead animators said that. But
I think they are looking for other departments. But
other departments, not for animation. But do they make any other shows, any other projects going on in the studio, or it's just Arcane at the moment?
I don't think I'm in liberty to talk about that.
And you can say, we get a couple of others, or no, we don't.
We are definitely working on Arcane season 2. That's as far.
That's okay. That's enough for us. How is it gonna be then? Last question. The second one. Is it gonna be better than the first one?
I hope really good. I don't know if it's gonna be better than the first one. The first one was incredible, but I hope
Do
I
you
hope we keep the
do you feel
quality high.
pressure? Do you feel pressure to
I already
be?
did even before season 1 came out. Because honestly, my main sources of inspiration, ironically, are other animators at Fortis. There's such an incredible pool of talent at Fortis.
Right.
And there's so many really, really talented animators that it's a pleasure for you. You're animating, and on a day-to-day, you're focused and you're doing your shot. But then from time to time, you just check out what other people are sending to client, what other people are sending to your supervisor, and you're like, man, that's really cool, and you really get inspired by the quality of your colleagues, and that's a really cool thing when you feel like you're in a studio that, like, your neighbor here is an incredible animator, you feel good.
Yeah, if you want to be one of them, work hard, guys. You heard the man.
Each other.
You heard the man. I'm talking to my audiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for your insights, Rodrigo. It was
worries,
such a pleasure, man. Thanks for joining us today and share your experience with us. I think we can now end our live slowly, because we're coming to the, it's been an hour and a little bit more, I guess.
Yeah.
Thanks for covering your experience, because answering our question. Thank you for joining us today, man. I really appreciate it.
Good luck with your channel, and good luck with your job.
Thank you.
Good luck for the people out there too.
Yeah, thank you. Good luck for season 2, man. It's gonna be hard, I guess. Do you know when it's gonna be broadcast? I mean, when it's gonna be online? No. Okay, we'll find out eventually.
Yeah.
So yes.
We'll find out when they announce it. I guess we will find out when they announce it.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, man. I'm gonna say goodbye to my audience, and then we'll go our ways. Yayında Toplar'ın bu bölümünden şimdilik bu kadar. Rodrigo Costa bizimleydi bugün. Arcane tecrübelerini paylaştı. Katılan herkese, soru soran, izleyen herkese teşekkür ederim. Bir dahaki programlarda görüşmek üzere. Bir dahaki canlı yayınlarımızda görüşmek üzere. Hoşça kalın. Kendinize iyi bakın. Bye.